This is wild. We are live, people. We are live on Instagram and we are live on YouTube, which is wild. Hopefully you're all very well. How can we help? I'm going to be doing a little bit of work. So if you've got any questions, please fire them away. It's going to be good. Training, nutrition, ask away. These are what these chats and conversations are for. First-hand help that you can get, help you get in better shape, get fitter, drop the ball, manage social events. What are you guys struggling with the most? Is it snacking? Is it getting rid of the belly? What could it possibly be? This is why we're here. I want to be able to help you guys as much as possible. The only way that I can do that is if people ask questions. I've got a few that we're going to run through today anyway. They're going to be really useful for you guys, I think. But ultimately, if you're struggling with something when it comes to training, if you're struggling with something to do with mindset, nutrition, exercises, whatever it could be, this is your opportunity to ask away, completely free. Get as much help as you possibly can right now, because this is why we are here. I'm going to pick one from my content that we're posting recently and give you guys some direct advice off the back of that. If you haven't already seen it, I'm going to be going for a reverse diet. This is where I'm going to be taking myself from my current body weight, which is 74 kilos, reversing up to around 76 over the next 10 weeks and aiming to try and stay as lean as I possibly can whilst still training really, really hard and getting myself ready for Ibiza. If you haven't already been, Ibiza is bloody awesome. It's a hell of a place to go. This will be my third trip. Yeah, third trip to Ibiza. The boys. Yeah, third trip. Looking forward to it. It's going to be good. But yeah, if you've got any training questions, please let me know. I know Drew is in the chat. Drew is currently trying to lose weight and was extremely frustrated. His body weight hadn't dropped for a couple of days. And so probably figured out that it was down to a few reasons, right? Number one is because his training had increased. He changed his diet up a few times and he was dealing with some digestion health. And so then we were trying to focus on improving his pre-training nutrition so he felt more energized going into gym sessions and running sessions. We also wanted to make sure that there was nothing adverse kind of going on when it came to his running, because he was going through his running sessions and getting mad blood pooling. So that's where all the blood had kind of like sat and stayed in his legs, which is making it really difficult for him to run after a couple of kilometers. One thing that we picked up was probably that his cadence was off. Might need to have some compression shorts, not compression shorts, compression calf socks thingamajiggies on, so that it helped to remove the blood out of his calves so that he could continue running. I think that has helped. And off the back of that, I think he's dropped like 6 or 7 kilos since the start of the year, which is bloody epic. We love to see it. Cool. So what am I going to be doing with my diet then over the next 10 weeks? Essentially, we've gone from eating 800 calories up to 2,400 calories. My brain and my digestion still isn't 100%. I don't feel hungry and I don't feel full, but my brain is telling me to eat more, and obviously I can't do that. Glad to hear it, Drew. Steve, legend. Hope you're well, mate. Steve's a hell of a High Rocks coach. If you don't know, get to know. That is one thing that I haven't done yet. We'll probably get one done at some point. But yeah, nutrition, we've gone from 1,800 calories. We're going up to 2,400 and reversing back out of that even more, up to above and above maintenance calories. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll see what Dave says. Liam, my man, ask some questions, dude. Don't sit in that chat and not ask questions. Liam's been on the program, the Perform for Life program, for 2.5 years. We've gained a solid amount of muscle mass. Strength is skyrocketed. Can now deadlift like 1.5 or 2 times his own body weight, which is incredible. He came off the back of working with another coach and he saw zero progress for, I think it was like 6 months. We got him in and we got him started. And obviously there was a massive of him when he first joined that he didn't feel like he would get the same kind of support that he got from the last coach. And we wanted to make sure that he had that in the bank. And it's probably the reason that he stayed so long is that he feels he's been supported at every step of the journey. We've gone through gaining phases, we've gone back into running phases, we've gone to strength training phases, we've gone through a diet process, we've done a photo shoot. And what this allows us to do is take him through these multiple different phases that allows him to, one, build his confidence in his physique, build his confidence in his training knowledge, in his nutrition. And we've got a beautiful, exciting time of not having to deal with shifts. Now, if you don't know, shifts are one of the hardest things to deal with when it comes to improving your physique, getting fitter, getting stronger, and ultimately feeling happier in life. We've got a period of time for like 6 to 8 weeks of no night shifts, which is going to be incredible for us. We're actually going to take him through a proper full strength phase throughout that whole time, eating way above his calorie target and really trying to get him to push as hard as possible in those training sessions, which is going to be class. Liam, if you've still not joined, please ask some training questions. What were some of the things that you struggled with at the very start of your journey before working with me, or when you were working with that other coach? Those are the things we want to be answering. Come on, let me know. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're all well. So, how can we build nutrition consistency? If you're somebody that feels like you yo-yo between eating great quality food and shit quality food, and you just feel like nothing seems to click, you go into Monday feeling really negative about your actions over the weekend, you try and diet really, really aggressively, Monday to Friday, you get to Friday, you press the fuck it button, and you're like, I don't know where to step off this train, and I don't know how to manage it. The first thing that we should probably do is look to bring you back up to maintenance calories and get your head clear. That was a great question. People come to it. I like it. So if you're yo-yo dieting all the time, we want to be coming into eating at maintenance. Bring your mental health, your body, your hormones, everything back up to normal levels, and then try and take you through a small period of eating above your maintenance calories. Increase your energy availability, which is your ability to use carbohydrates and fats as energy. And then from there, we have to make sure that you've got certain pillars in place for you to perform to the best of your ability. And we use this called the operator launch system within the program, where we look at your environment, whether you've got goals that are locked in and going to drive you forwards, your habits, your sleep, your stress, your environment, your digestion, your nutrition quality, your nutrition awareness, and if you're able to track calories very well, and then training performance. Once we have all of those things in a really good solid spot, we're then able to take you through a dieting phase because you're much more aware of how you're feeling. You spent a good amount of time eating above your maintenance calories, which ultimately means you're not in this cycle of yo-yo dieting forever. Then we then give you structures and situations to manage better, right? So we'll give you nutritional guidance on how to manage Monday to Friday a little bit more. And then into the weekend, we have to think about trying to plan it as much as we can in advance. And I know that might sound boring and it might sound like it's quite frustrating, but ultimately having more structure with your nutrition over the weekends is going to be the thing that's going to allow you to, one, have a bit more freedom because you're planning your food. You can plan to have food that you enjoy. So let's say that you're going out for, I don't know, a curry Friday night. What we can do is we can backtrack from there. We can go, cool, I'm going to have this curry option, which is going to be about 600 calories. I'm going to have rice, which is about another 3. That's what I'm going to choose. And then maybe a beer alongside that. That means you've got 1,000 calories that you need to partition to that evening meal. And the rest of the day, you can plan knowing full well that you're going to stay within targets. You're going to be able to enjoy that food even more without feeling guilty the next day, which is what that cycle is creating when you yo-yo diet and you can't stay consistent with your nutrition. So that's one of the simplest ways that we can make sure that we break away from this yo-yo dieting cycle that most men face and start to see that results as we go through. Now, if that feels too overwhelming, what you have to do is you have to scale it down even more. What's one thing that you can start to do to make sure that you're moving in a better direction? Well, we use a method called the 4 out of 2 method, the 2 out of 4 method, where you focus on trying to have starter, main, drinks, or desserts. And you pick 2 of those 4 options so that as you then head into that social event, you can manage it a little bit better rather than feeling like you've got to feel overwhelmed by tracking, the fear of being judged by other people, the fear of not having enough time, all these sorts of things. So that's how we can manage those social events even more to build that nutrition consistency. Now, Steve's question about how can we balance performance and trying to get lean at the same time. it's a difficult one. And it's a challenging question. You need to break it down into numerous phases. For myself personally, as a coach, you kind of got to pick or choose what's more important at the right time. For instance, we've had Andy on the training program for about 14 months. He's lost 28 kilos. Now we're working towards building it into a half marathon in October. That means we're actually going to be taking him out of a fat loss phase and focusing on his performance, because ultimately it's more important for him to work towards gaining strength, staying in a really good spot, and making sure he's not getting injured. There is some evidence to suggest that if you're dieting whilst performing strength training and endurance running, there's a higher increased chance of injury. So therefore, we want to make sure there's a nice balance to this. Things that we can do is go for a small deficit, 200 to 300 calories below maintenance calories. And then if there's days where you're training twice, so maybe you're strength training in the morning and then running in the evening, we can then compensate in that deficit by bringing 100, 150 calories above maintenance, utilizing carbohydrates. Now, when it comes to meal timing, it's really important that we focus on moving a lot of our carbohydrates around our training sessions. If you're training first thing in the morning, let's say 5:30 to 6 a.m., because that's what a most typical thing for a man would do if they work a 9 to 5 or if they've got kids. The simplest thing that we want to do is have a big carb meal in the evening. That glycogen is then going to get stored into the next morning, and then you can have something like a banana and pre-workout to then take yourself into the session so you've got enough energy. Post-workout would then be the breakfast for us to allow ourselves to train hard and recover harder, right? If you're training at lunchtime, then you can have quite a light breakfast, maybe a couple of eggs, a bit of toast, into your pre-training meal, which could be some overnight oats or a smoothie if you've prepped it. Post-training could be that lunch with some good amount of carbohydrates and fats, with protein, and then dinner is probably maybe a little bit lighter than what we typically would like. If you're training in the evening, this is what I would do. I'd probably keep breakfast fairly light, try and hold as much of those calories back into mid-afternoon and post-training session in the evening, so that, again, you're training as hard as possible, you've got those carbohydrates, you've got that energy to be able to perform to the very best. Just don't go taking caffeine at 2 o'clock. Otherwise, it's going to impact your sleep more than necessary. So that is how we would plan your nutrition around your gym sessions so that you're still getting lean whilst you're trying to perform to the best of your ability. Again, coming back to the same thing, it's really important that you make a preference of what's important to you in that space, whether it's training performance or getting lean. I would try and advise not doing the same. I would advise not trying to do both at the same time, but pick through phases. Like elite level athletes have a 4-year lifespan for their goal setting, especially if they're in the Olympics. They've got a 4-year plan. That's then broken down into 2 years and then 1 year. And then you've got cycles within that year of when they're going to be focusing on certain events or certain races or certain goals within their training. Same goes for bodybuilders. Like bodybuilders will go through a gaining phase for 1, 2, even 3 years just to get lean in 24 to 30 weeks, step on stage, and then do it all over again. And you need that length of time in those different phases to, one, get stupidly lean or build a substantial amount of muscle mass without adding too much body fat. And that's one thing I think lads get wrong, is that there's a right way to go through a gaining phase or a bulk, and there's a wrong way to do it. The right way is to try and go real slowly, trying to gain about 0.2 to 0.3 kilos maximum per week. And for most people, that's going to seem like it's way too slowly. And it is. Gaining muscle mass is a slow process. It has taken me 10 plus years to add about 14 to 15 kilos of lean muscle mass naturally, right? Really important we kind of recognize this. So for most people, there's this expectation that they should be gaining a ton of muscle mass overnight, and it just doesn't happen like that. You've got to go through multiple phases. You've got to go through 24 to 48 weeks of gaining phase with a couple of mini diet breaks in between to just manage hunger, go for a mini cut for 8 to 10 weeks, and then go through that process again. And we've done that with multiple people on the program. And what that means is they come out the back end leaner, bigger, and stronger off the back of it, because they're getting to the end of those gaining phases, not with 25+% body fat on them, but 20 to 24. And it makes a massive difference. When you start going above 24% body fat, you see appetite suppressed, training performance decrease, fatigue kick in a bit more often, not to mention the impact that has on body composition and the emotions surrounding that. That was a lot of information. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. Any questions, please let me know. Drop them in the comments below. Surely people have got some questions. If not, I'll pick some from my content I've made. If your gym sessions take 2 hours long, we are probably wasting a lot of time repeating the same exercises. Now, this is called exercise redundancy, where you complete similar exercises consistently over and over again. So for instance, this could look like flat bench press into dumbbell bench press into plate loaded chest press, right? Those are 3 exercises that follow exactly the same plane of motion and go through the exact exercises again and again and again. And all that means is you're just creating more fatigue as you go through those sessions. And it means that ultimately you're not going to get any stronger. You're just wasting more time and energy, and you're going to feel more fatigued for the amount of progress you're going to make. For most people, you're better off going for 1 to 2 big sets with maybe 1 or 2 warm-up sets to hit a level of intensity that's going to be worthwhile, and then transitioning to another exercise which could complement what you're trying to do. So for instance, if you're somebody that, here we go. This is probably the best way of describing it. You've got person A and person B, right? Person A here has got quite a rounded chest, right? Somebody you look at and be like, oh man, like they're quite a wide person. And you've got somebody who is flat chested. Now, if you're somebody that's flat chested, you going in and pressing with dumbbells or the barbell might not be the most optimal exercise for you to grow your pec fibers. And the reason for this is that, and the movement with those fibers as much as possible when it comes to in the dumbbell press. This is what we would consider biomechanics. So if you've done sports and exercise science, you'll have a recognized understanding of this. But essentially what we're trying to do here, I'm trying to draw this on here. Hopefully you can see this. And we can go. Oh yeah, nice. Can be making moves, love it. Cool. So imagine if we are looking at a person lying down. This is them benching right now, right? Helps if I make the line match up, doesn't it? Right, this is them benching. Everything they're trying to do is trying to go up with the weight. But let's say here they've got a small chest angle like so, which is this little orange line here. What this means is that as the dumbbells are getting pressed up, it's not following that same line of the chest fibers, which means that there's a lot of wasted energy and space in here. So what we're then going to try and do is by utilizing cables, we're going to use the other side here. If we attach the cables to this direction and the line of pull is through the hand here and then goes off this way, that's going to match up fibers a lot more because they follow that same line of force. That ultimately means that you're going to get way more engagement of those chest fibers. So if you're somebody that has a small rib cage and small pec fibers, and the angle of those pec fibers are fairly flat versus stickyality, we'll call it stickyality, is a good way of describing it. Going from a dumbbell bench press into then a cable chest fly or a cable press could be the best way for you to start growing your chest fibers. Hopefully that makes sense. So this is where exercise redundancy plays a massive role in a lot of what I see guys do. They'll spend 2 to 3 hours in the gym and they'll wonder why the hell they're not growing. And this is partly one of those reasons, because you know as much as you know, and this is where coaching comes in. If you didn't already know, I run the Perform 5 program. The link is somewhere in my page. If you feel like you're struggling to grow at all in the gym, you're skinny fat, feel like all you do is put effort in the gym and nothing ever really pays off, go and click the link, go book in a call, completely free. We'll chat about the things that you're struggling with and how I can help you to get lean, fit, and jacked. But hopefully that made sense in terms of the description about why cable flies are so important versus other stuff. Legends. Hope everyone is well. Hope everyone's having a lovely evening. Tobias, hopefully prep's going well, mate. Tried out Cinnamon Flame today, mate. It's not as good as Mango Flame. It's still pretty good. Is what it is. Can't believe it. Been live on YouTube. Viewer in here. I wonder how I can get more people to be live on YouTube. If you didn't know, I do We're going to try TikTok next with the old lives. I don't know how I'm going to make this work. May have to try and download another phone and get TikTok on it. What I want to try and do is have you guys, and then you guys here on another phone. We'll see how we get on. Cool. If you ever find yourself saying that you are time poor and you haven't got enough time to train, time is not the issue, it's a priority. And that's going to annoy a lot of people. We have guys on the program that travel often for work, wake up at 5:45, get home at 9, and still have time to train. It's just about making something fit your diary and seeing what we can do about it. Most people work 9 till 5, Monday to Friday. So that means you've still got Saturday and Sunday, or typically most people have 2 days off where we can get a training session in. And that has to become a priority if getting in shape is a priority for you. Most of the time when people say they don't have time, it's because they don't have structure in their day. My diary is completely locked in, and we're actually going to be adjusting my diary, which is something I do about every 3 to 6 months based on what my priorities and my needs are at the moment. So with the photo shoot now being done, my priority is now to be back onto my business. So I'm going to be moving my training sessions to first thing in the morning so that I train from about 6:30 to 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then I can start work at 8:30 when I get back from the gym and showered. This means that the rest of the time my diary needs to be then adjusted to fit that. This is where having a diary can take everything up again. It makes training so much easier if you follow a pattern. Most humans like having structure. It's why you make to-do lists. And if you feel like you don't have any structure to your day, you feel completely overwhelmed, you feel more anxious because you haven't got a daily to-do list looking forward to where you want to achieve your certain goals. But yeah, lads, be great. Give me some more questions. Maybe I can explain how I've been feeling off the back of doing a photo shoot. It's been good. I'm relieved it ended. I'm relieved it's done. It was intense, harder than the last one. But I'm glad I did it because ultimately it showed me that I'm not a one-hit wonder. And it shows me that I'm able to achieve more again. I'm able to push myself even more. And I'm grateful for Dave, who's my coach, who's helped me along the way and helped me when I've been really hungry, when I've mismanaged my calories, when I've been emotional wreck. And that's a natural part of dieting. Like, dieting is difficult. Dieting takes a toll on all the people around you. And one of the most important things to do is make sure you communicate to people how you're feeling when you are dieting and make sure that they fully understand what you're trying to go through. One thing that I notice quite often with guys that come onto the program and they don't start very well, part of it comes down to the environment. They haven't really told the people around them why they're trying to lose weight, why they're trying to get in better shape, why they're trying to lose the gut. And oftentimes that comes down to them feeling embarrassed about why they're trying to do it, or they're not being completely honest about what it is they want to achieve, either within themselves or the people around them. And it's really difficult to try and get people to open up to their family like that. For instance, the first time that I hired a coach, I did it for a number of reasons. I wanted to prove to myself that I could get in really, really good shape and get in as good a shape as one of my friends. I wanted to become more confident with how I looked. I didn't really want to be the skinny fat guy anymore to women. And I wanted to feel like the athlete that I thought I was. I was still playing decent level cricket at that point, and I just really felt like I wanted to be able to give everything I could to the team in that moment, and getting in better shape would have allowed me to do that. And I think that sometimes that gets completely overlooked. And then the second time round of just completing the photo shoot just now, I wanted to do it for a number of reasons. Often it's one of the easiest things that I can control when I feel out of control. That is my body. And I'd gone through a bit of a challenging 6 months photo shoot prep, which made me lean into wanting to control the things that I can control more, which was my body and my business. And ultimately, getting in better shape allows me to then help more people, because everything has to get locked in when I go through a dieting phase. So my diary has to be better, my communication to my clients has to be better, I've got to be more self-aware of my emotions, and I need to help and drive the lads forward even more by becoming this self-led leader, by being this leader for them at the same time. And I'm grateful for the fact of going through this training block, this photo shoot prep, because I know what it gives me in the future. I know that it's hard now, but it's going to make things easier as I go through. And that's why I absolutely love what I do, because the amount of feedback and messages I've got from the lads recently has really just shown me that they massively appreciate like how much more switched on I am when I've been dancing. And I'm trying to take that energy forward now. And that's why I'm trying to jump on here and give you guys as much help as I possibly can. So yeah, it's been great. It's been really, really good. I'm grateful for it. All right, guys, I think we're going to call it there. I need some food. I hope you all have enjoyed this. Let me know. I'm going to try and do a few more of these into the future. And it'd be great if you guys would jump in, ask some questions. Maybe next time I'll do one where I calculate your calories for you and we can help you get in better shape. Peace, people.